additional questions or comments? Seeing none, recognize Representative Holt for closing comments on House Study Bill 615 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I say, Representative Breckenridge, Representative Michelle, I'm certainly up for the conversations if you have any language adjustments that you think would, in the issue that you mentioned in the courthouses. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. There are several reasons this bill is needed in reference to that Second Amendment. First of all, it is clear that a patchwork of ordinances and regulations varying from county to county or even city to city within a county would make it nearly impossible for law-abiding citizens exercising their Second Amendment rights to know if they are legal or not as they travel about the state. A patchwork of differing requirements would also be an infringement on those Second Amendment rights of our citizens if in fact they cannot logically and reasonably exercise those rights. Preemption is also necessary as it pertains to regulating gun ranges. Political motivations by those hostile to Second Amendment rights cannot be allowed to prevent a gun range from opening or being approved. Again, the same principles apply to accessories and modifications. Now at this point, perhaps a bit of education is in order for the benefit of the Des Moines Register editorial board, since they seem to be fixated on bump stocks that are already illegal in federal law and are twisting other aspects of the bill beyond the bounds of common sense. In calling this bill fringe legislation, that was their term, and giving me a thistle for this legislation we are currently discussing, they contradicted themselves on bump stocks, proclaiming that the bill would prohibit cities from regulating bump stocks, and then only a few sentences later saying that, quote, maybe he, meaning me, didn't get the GOP memo, but the Trump administration already banned bump stocks nationwide, unquote. Perhaps their proofreader was homesick or something that day. Unfortunately, this editorial board showed profound ignorance on firearms. So here is my memo to the Des Moines Register editorial board. There are a myriad of accessories and modifications for firearms, not just bump stocks. Republicans believe accessories and modifications should be regulated on the state level, as are firearms, to prevent a patchwork of ordinances that would make it impossible for law-abiding citizens to navigate. So the Des Moines Register editorial board, here are just a few of the many accessories and modifications. Tripods, smart safes, handgun mounts, folding, telescoping, or detachable stocks, slings, different types of magazines, pistol grips, mounts, sights, threaded barrels for legal suppressors. The list goes on and on. Perhaps the Des Moines Register editorial board should get out of their office and educate themselves on topics they wish to discuss, particularly as it pertains to firearms. This might actually enable them to understand the thousands of common sense Iowans who no longer take them seriously because of such ridiculous, out-of-touch editorials as the one that talked about this bill. Moving on, if a political subdivision decides to restrict Second Amendment rights of citizens in a particular building or structure, then most certainly it should be incumbent upon them to ensure compliance and provide security, since that political subdivision has removed a major portion of the right of self-defense for those entering that restricted area. The same principle applies to multiple-use courthouses in which there are many functions beyond the judicial branch. Let's talk about gun-free zones for a few minutes. Make anyone safer. In reality, a gun-free zone without screening and security will never stop a sick individual from killing innocent people. It will stop the law-abiding citizen from carrying protection. It is illegal to kill people, but that does not stop school shootings and mass shootings. It is illogical to conclude that a sign announcing a gun-free zone, absent screening and security, will do anything besides encourage sick individuals into believing they have a shooting gallery of unarmed citizens. Dateline CNN, December 30th, 2019. Quote, man shoots and kills 2 inside a Texas church before parishioners fatally shoot him, unquote. It is not about the gun. It is about the character of the person holding the gun. A firearm can be used for good or it can be used for evil. In Texas, a firearm was used for evil at the West Freeway Church of Christ to kill 2 innocent people. A firearm was then used for the good when the church's security team shot and killed that shooter. God only knows how many people worshiping on that Sunday morning would have died in that church had a well-armed, trained citizen not exercised his Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. City Police Chief P.B. Bevering said, quote, "There was a security team inside the church and they eliminated the threat," unquote. House Study Bill 615 is about freedom and liberty. It is about the health and safety of our children and our families. It is a bill that addresses the safety and welfare of our citizens by ensuring their right of self-defense against sick individuals that would kill innocent people. It is about my right as a parent to be prepared to defend my wife and my children and my family. It is about everyone in this room's right and Iowans across the state's right to carry a firearm if they choose to defend what they love without facing a labyrinth of different ordinances and mandates. It ensures all law-abiding citizens the right to eliminate the threat to their friends, their loved ones, their family members as they move about our state. Second Amendment rights are sacred. As we move the resolution to enshrine Second Amendment rights in our Constitution through the legal process, we must continue to ensure that the right to keep and bear arms is consistently protected throughout the state by regulating Second Amendment issues on the state level. House Study Bill 615 is an important step in ensuring the consistency of protection for Second Amendment rights. Mr. Chair, I move House Study Bill 615 as amended.
Representative Holt moves passage for House Study Bill 615 as amended. Clerk will call the roll.
Representative Klein.
Aye.
Representative Thorpe.
Aye.
Representative Breckenridge.
No.
Representative Fisher.
Aye.
Representative Fry.
Aye.
Representative Holt.
Aye.
Representative Jenery.
Aye.
Representative Casina.
No.
Representative Kerr.
Aye.
Representative Kressig.
No.
Representative Kurth.
No.
Representative Kurtz.
No.
Representative Moore.
Aye.
Representative Poshkin.
Aye.
Representative Salmon.
Aye.
Representative Sunday.
No.
Representative Thede.
No.
Representative Wessel Rochelle.
No.
Representative Wortham.
Aye.
Having received 11 yes votes, 8 no votes, House Study Bill 615 as amended will pass to the floor as a committee bill. At this time,